Back when the land was still new, there were many types of people that walked over the earth. There were the elves and the fairies and the trolls and the people. And the trolls and the humans, well, they didn't exactly get on, but they'd come to an arrangement, a kind of truce. They wouldn't step on our land if we didn't step on theirs. And so it went on for many years and it was fine. But people encroached further and further into the land of the trolls. And eventually, well, one of these trolls, not quite sure exactly how it happened, but he started to get a liking for the taste of human flesh. He would catch people and he would pick them up and he would, eat them. Ha 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 ha! And he liked it. He liked it so much that he roamed throughout the land, and whenever he found anyone, he would catch them and he would eat them. He'd spit out the bits he didn't like their boots and their hats and anything they happened to be carrying, but people were tasty. Well, soon it became quite a problem. And the leaders of the people and the leaders of the trolls got together and had a discussion about this. And they agreed that something had to be done. But what? Well, eventually the trolls agreed that he had to be banished from the land. And so they all got together on a cliff top and they picked up the troll that had been causing all the problems and they, heave, threw him out to sea. He landed in the sea, way out there beyond the breakers, and stood up. It wasn't that deep. So he was kind of chest height in the water and decided, well, he'd been banished. No point going back there. He had to find somewhere new. And he walked, and he walked, and he waded, and he kept walking until eventually, on the horizon, he saw some wee dotty wee bits of coastline. There were some islands. And as he approached the islands, he could smell people. And he rubbed his hands together and he got all excited and he said, I can smell you. I'm gonna catch you. And then, I'm gonna eat you. And that's what he did. He went up onto the land and every time he found somebody, he would catch them. And he would eat them, spitting out the lumpy bits. And this went on. He went all over the islands, catching all the people. Whenever they tried to hide, well, it was no use. They would just hear in the background, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna catch you. And then I'm gonna eat you. Ha ha! And he did. And soon there were no people left in all the islands. None. And he had to start eating the sheep and the goats and any other animals he could find. But after a while, he got a bit bored of the taste of mutton. So he jumped back into the sea and waded chest height, looking for more land. And soon he spotted in the distance another chain of islands. Oh, he thought, I can smell people. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna catch you. And then I'm gonna eat you. The people had heard what had happened to their neighbours. And when they heard this noise coming over the sea, they realised that they were in trouble. And they went out into the woods and they cut down all the thin trees that were standing. And they dug a massive pit. And they put the trees into them. And they sharpened the ends until they were all spikes. And they sent their fastest runners 2 teenagers who volunteered for the task. They sent them down to the coast and they told them to lie in wait. And when the troll came ashore, he sniffed the air. I can smell people. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna catch you. And then I'm gonna eat yous. And the teenagers jumped out from behind some trees while they'd been hiding. And they waved and went, woo, can't catch us, nah. You're not fast enough. And they began to run. And they ran as fast as they possibly could. And they didn't realise quite how fast the troll was at running. And he was getting closer and closer. I'm going to find yous. I'm going to catch yous. And then I'm going to eat yous. They managed to make it just in time. And the troll went crashing into the pitfall trap that they'd set for him. And he got spiked on all the posts that were stuck down there. And all the villagers, for good measure, they waded in with their axes and their swords and their cleavers, and they just chopped him and hacked him, and there were bits of troll flying all over the place. They really made sure they did a good job on finishing him off. Well, as you would after killing a giant troll that was determined to eat you, they had a party. They had the biggest party that the islands had seen in decades. There was drinking, there was feasting, there was dancing, there were songs and stories well into the night. Eventually, everybody got tired and fell asleep. The next morning, slowly, they woke and realised, oh, there's this giant troll to deal with. So they went down to where the pitfall trap had been, and they peered in, and there was a terrible mess. There were bits of troll everywhere, lumps here and there, and oh my goodness. Yeah, they'd kind of gone to town on that one a little bit. Oh dear. But then, the bits of troll started to move. They started to vibrate, and this terrible noise started. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna catch you. And I'm gonna eat you. Because, as you know, if you cut a troll in half, you end up with 2 trolls. And they'd cut it into, well, hundreds of pieces. And they were all talking. Oh my goodness, the people were panicking. What are we going to do? So they gathered up all the bits of troll and they started a massive, massive bonfire. And they threw all the bits of troll that they could find onto it and they burnt it. And do you know, troll burns remarkably well. And soon there was this enormous fire, really raging fire going on. They got all the bits and they began to breathe easily again. But just as the sun was going down, the big black smoke that had started to accumulate over the fire, well, it looked really dark and sinister. And suddenly a noise started from it. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna eat you. And with that, a big puff of wind dispersed this massive black cloud all across Scotland. And to this day, if you walk out into the hills of Scotland, a black cloud will rise, slowly at first, but when the pieces find you, they're going to come for you and they're going to eat you. And that is why we have midges in Scotland. They're actually bits of the troll that you couldn't keep down.